Welcome to the show. My guest today, Chris Sambar, Senior Vice President, AT&T FirstNet. Chris, welcome to the discussion.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Stacy Schwartz, Vice President, AT&T Public Safety and FirstNet Solutions. Stacy, welcome to the discussion.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
As Chris talked about building the core, it's not like, okay, we built it and now let's wait to use it. It's been used several times. Maybe walk me through some examples.
FirstNet really is a network, but if you think about it, we have wired networks, if you will, out there today, large, wide area networks, but they're being used by some of the same community, whether it's law enforcement or whomever. Creatively, some agencies in the federal government are using FirstNet as their connectivity into an office for agents, right? Part of their network infrastructure, FirstNet is the platform for connectivity. So they know this way they have the throughput, if you will, and the priority and the ability to get through at a local level. Things like sensors, biometrics, surveillance mechanisms, they're all other great candidates, and some of them are already in use, utilizing FirstNet as their platform. So it's not lost upon some of the more sensitive government agencies that having this sort of a capability that they know they can count on that gets through in any type of a congested situation and gives them that throughput and that confidence is really important. So it's not just the device that an individual has on their waist, it's a camera, it could be some unique access to a database lookup for somebody as well. So, and doing that with the security that FirstNet represents has enabled a lot of federal agencies to look at FirstNet a bit differently.
And what Stacy's bringing up, of course, is the Internet of Things, the IoT, the connected devices. And I think that's another big piece that I think a lot of the federal agencies, but also probably state and local, hospitals, other first responders are starting to see. If an early warning sign, a chemical or biological or just a fence is breached, they know that sooner than waiting for something to happen. So where's IoT obviously the kind of fit across the top of that FirstNet effort, the FirstNet, the power of FirstNet?
So it's an integral part. Our progression is we're looking at the things, the tools that are part of the mission that we've been discussing, right? So wearables are very present and getting more present, both in all sorts of departments and agencies. Those too can use the power of FirstNet to relay information or data, right? So that makes folks more situationally aware. It just feeds into that broader application or incident awareness, situational awareness, that if all those different endpoints have some ability to relate information so that somebody responding or anticipating a response has that information, it all factors into that vision that they have. As the creative minds start to think where I might have used something that is a fixed connection or I might have used commercial wireless capability, if I can use FirstNet, I'm going to. Depending upon what is going on in a particular event and environment, the federal government absolutely plays a role. From an eligible universe of folks, FEMA would be a likely candidate. There are others when you think about law enforcement, and depending upon jurisdiction and the incident, you'd absolutely want federal law enforcement involved and be able to communicate on the same platform with the local jurisdictions. You mentioned DHS. Certainly, DHS is engaged with FirstNet. Justice agencies are engaged there with utilities. There's a whole host of other federal agencies that need to have some common capability to communicate. If you think about 9/11, that disaster began in the air, right? We have federal entities that regulate and manage our air traffic, right? So those two would have the capability to be on FirstNet. Not in every instance would they be the first responders or the primary responders, but they would have some role to play in an event, in an activity, in some sort of task force, et cetera. And in those instances, we want to make sure that they have a FirstNet capability in their hand or in a device that they're using, so that they have the ability when something occurs to be in that same universe of communication, common platform, and have their traffic prioritized.
And to follow up on what Stacy was just saying, I'll give you a real-world example. The shooting in Las Vegas from the hotel there. I was surprised when I saw the report that came out from FEMA. The number of federal agencies that were there, FBI, DEA, I believe ICE was there, depending on who's in town,
ATF.
Secret Service might be there, ATF. Plus then you've got all the local fire, sheriff, police, etc. Then you've got the local hospitals. getting all of these federal entities who are spread throughout the country, we're interworking with the local authorities on a regular basis, having them all be able to talk to each other is really valuable. And in the Mandalay Bay shooting, in the FEMA report, one of the big conclusions was they actually referenced FirstNet, and if we could get all these agencies on FirstNet, they'd all be able to talk to each other, because they couldn't there. First of all, because the networks were hobbled because there was so much traffic, there was a concert going on, and secondly, because they were all on different radio networks, and so they couldn't communicate with each other readily.